Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is more Bad Business gameplay, and in it we are using the M1 Garand, a rifle that you can unlock by purchasing it with credits or Robux money stuff, or using one of the World War II passes that you can purchase. You'll get this there. And it's essentially a shitty version of the SKS. I don't like this gun at all. It frustrates the shit out of me. It's too good for me. It's too classy, too skillful. It is just too manly for my garbage abilities in this game. But here's a gameplay with me using it, just for more diversity of the weapons, to showcase more Bad Business. We're on canals, and I want to continue speaking about the topic I started in my icicle launcher video. This is part 2 to the ranges and mobility changes. So I mentioned in that video that the mobility changes are good for the game overall, as an average, but bad for players like myself, because it takes away what I enjoy, which is the speed. And in future, there'll probably be means to bring back the speed that I don't have at the moment because of said nerfs. Because you feel it in so many ways and so many areas that you play. The one area I notice it most is when I run towards objects to jump and kick up them. There are certain objects now with certain weapons where I don't even get close to hitting them. And especially the new UMP, when I put the 50 round mag on the UMP, I noticed immediately I wasn't making any of my jumps. All my jumps were thrown off. I felt slow. I felt really sluggish and really stupid, and just, I didn't know what was going on. And then I realised it's just, when you put that 50 round mag on, it minuses your mobility by 10. So if you look at that gun, that's a submachine gun that had its mobility nerfed, so it already got nerfed mobility, and then when I put that mag on for more bullets, I get minus 10 in my mobility? Are you high? Because think about this, right? How much mobility does lightweight give? Lightweight is a perk, right? You only get to pick one perk in this game. You can't make it so that if you don't take a few attachments, you can pick multiple perks. I think that right there would be a really, really cool feature for making builds, and it wouldn't take too long to make, I don't think. But for some reason, it doesn't work that way, for whatever. So you only get a choice of one perk. I've heard on Ethan's stream that he thinks that the perks themselves are very good, and that there's not a huge issue with them, as some people would say. Which I'm going to talk about that in a separate video. So the team believes in the perks that they've made, and they want you to use them. Yet, when you use lightweight on some weapons, you get like 4 mobility. 4 mobility is a fart in the wind. It doesn't mean anything. Especially when you put a magazine on that minuses it by 10. Can you imagine? Minus 10 mobility to have 50 rounds on a submachine gun, and then the next thing you fucking know, you use lightweight to counter that, and it doesn't even give you that much. And here's my issue with the mobility. Like, I feel like some of these initial changes are quite heavy because they want to see how it affects, but there doesn't seem to be a compelling way to counter it. This is really frustrating, by the way. When you can't load your fucking gun and someone's trying to stab you, ugh, the worst. So I feel like some factors need to be tweaked in as much as how it works, because I just don't understand why I can reload a 50 round mag in 2 seconds as if it was a 10 round mag, yet it makes me shit my pants and walk around like John Wayne, which I don't want it to do, you know? I would rather my reload be 40 seconds long than slow me down, but there's no option in the game to let me do that. There's no option to let me tailor how I want my experience to be. So if I want to counter that as heavily as I can, I have to run a stock that introduces more recoil. I have to use lightweight, which is like level 52 on a submachine gun. It's really, really high. I have to sacrifice 3 perks to counteract the negative of 1 attachment. And it just doesn't work. And then when you bear in mind that there's LMGs with 90 fucking mobility, how does an LMG have more mobility and the same amount of bullets as my submachine gun with a drum on it? Like, it doesn't work. None of it works when you really crack into it. Like, you can add 60 rounds on the M4. It doesn't nerf your mobility by 10. So why does it do that to the UMP? Like, it's one rule for this gun and another rule for that gun. Like, and I don't get it. And it could be overlooked. It might be oversights. It can be a handful of things. Like, look at what I'm using right now. A 60 round drum on a Mac 10. And my mobility is like 113. And I don't even have lightweight on. And it feels amazing. A drum's not that heavy. Like, it's almost like they wanted to make movement and mobility more precious and more focused on if you wanted it. And then there's these crazy choices that seem to have slipped through the cracks. And I'm hyped up now because I'm passionate about the game, and I want it to make sense, and I want it to be... I love risk and reward, but I don't like stupid risk and no reward, you know? And it's one of the things where the biggest failure of the mobility is that it slows the game down. And this is a very fast game. But that's okay, because many players would prefer Bad Business if it was slower. But you should enable the people who want to go fast and who enjoy going fast to do so. And what the game wants you to do now is, it wants you to swap out to your knife. It wants you to swap out to melee weapons. I don't want to do that. You'll notice I never swap to my melee, ever. I don't want to use melee. I'm not a melee player. Like, it's just not who I am. This is a first-person shooter. I want to use my guns. You model these beautiful guns, I want to use them. I don't want to windmill and wipe my face on the keyboard and get free kills from people who are considerably better than me just because I ran around window shopping the shit out of them with a katana. You know, that to me is the opposite of what I enjoy. But that exists for the people who do like it, and I get that. But I don't want the emphasis to fall on those playstyles rather than a fast playstyle with a good gun, you know? So everything has to come at a cost, but the cost has to be either moderated or it has to make sense. And then that leads us to the range. The range change I thought on paper was going to move all weapons closer to the L85, because I thought the L85 was going to do more damage at range, and statistically it should, but when you play the game it doesn't feel like it does. I thought the L85 was going to be fixing my biggest criticism of Bad Business, which is anything past mid to long range is fucking miserable, because you don't do any damage, your bullets don't move very fast, and enemies have lots of life. So when you play this game at long range and you're not using a sniper rifle, the game does not feel fun to shoot people, because you get more hit markers than you do anything else. And hit markers aren't fun, dude. They're only fun when it's like a point stack off a Molotov, you know? So I was really hoping when they announced the changes in the range that it was going to mean that the distance game in Bad Business was going to feel more satisfying and a bit easier. And I think that would have been a great change. I think the community would have welcomed it. The higher level players wouldn't have liked it because you'll die more, but at least it'll mean that everybody's doing a little bit better at range and the whole game will move a bit faster instead of everybody trying to shoot people from distance and every bugger missing. But instead, when we look at the range changes, all it's really done is make SMGs a bit more competitive and nerf some ARs. And the range game still feels hitmarker city and kinda shitty, unless you're using a sniper. The LMGs don't have dominance at long range like they should do. You know, up close, the ARs can still beat the submachine guns, so it seems to be this idea of a very wide-reaching, fundamental change on how the game works, but then when you play it, nothing's changed. It's just slower, and certain weapons feel like shit now. And it sounds harsh, and it is harsh, but it's true, you know? Like, all they did is annoy me. And I'm already annoyed. So, who did it help? And what will be the knock-on effect of it? Because I'm looking at it, and I'm just not getting it, you know? I'm not understanding what the fundamental reason for all the changes were. And I believe in the team, and I know that this is a work in progress, and who knows, a month from now they might fine-tune it, they might tweak it, and it might make a lot more sense, and this video might age terribly and everything I've said is stupid, but at the moment it seems like it wasn't thought through enough, and they weren't transparent enough with the intention. And I hope in the future we get more clarity and we get more explanations and potential answers to some of the more questionable design changes. But thank you for watching, and you take care now.